Okay, and we are live. Let's give it 1 minute because I've noticed there is a little bit of a lag. Every time I go live, I try to see when I log in. So there is like a 30-second lag. So let's just give everyone a few seconds to join us and then we'll start. But how are you doing today, Ben? Tell me about how you've been. And also just tell me again, you're in Vancouver, correct?
No, actually, I'm over in Calgary,
Oh,
just a
right.
little bit east of Vancouver, but no, that's certainly okay. Yeah, no, things have been really good. Still working and building my business a lot, and also getting a lot more into different public speaking events. So this event and conversation will be absolutely wonderful.
Awesome. Great. Okay, it looks like we are officially live and we have some people joining us. So I just want to say welcome to everyone. This is Maria Malik, your corporate speaking coach. And I'm super excited today because I have here Benjamin Chan, who has done some incredible things in the past few years. He was also a client of mine and he has an exceptional journey when it comes to public speaking, which is why I really wanted to bring him on so you guys can see what amazing things can happen once you get better at public speaking. So welcome, Ben. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and let people know who you are and what you do.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Ben Chan. I'm a project management leadership success coach, helping project managers transform from, overwhelmed project managers into confident and strategic project leaders. And on the side, I also do, I guess, project management consulting. So the regular project management pieces. I'm also a husband, a father, and also I guess, another additional father to a dog. So yeah, a dad puppy as well.
Love that. And you know what, Ben? I actually love your introduction. And I don't know if you remember, but when we worked together, I told you that, hey, and Ben, when you introduce yourself, I think people just focus so much on their credentials and I can do this and I can do that. And they don't focus enough on the personal level. So I love that you told us a little bit about your personal side because I think that's what really helps people connect with the speaker. So great introduction, Ben.
Yeah, no, thank you. And if you can't tell behind me, I'm also a comic book fan. Wolverine is one of my favorite comic book characters. And really, I think through speaking, being able to talk, being able to express yourself, you can really build so much more connection, whether it's in person or online through online meetings and such with Teams, Zoom. There's so many different opportunities for everyone out there.
Absolutely. And you know what's interesting, Ben? Till this day, I give people your example of the background because every time I speak to my clients, I tell them, hey, your background matters. If you're online, what's going on in the back matters. And I always give your example because what I love about your background is it tells us a little bit about you, but it's not overpowering. So just by looking at your background right now, I can tell that you like comic books and you're maybe somewhat of an artist, or at least you appreciate art. So I see that you updated it and it looks really good. But this is a prime example of what your background should look like when you are online. So I love the update, Ben. Looks good.
Yeah, no, great to be here.
Great. So let's kind of start from the beginning, Ben. So tell me about where you were just a few years ago when it came to public speaking and why you came to me to begin with.
Sure. I think maybe when I started, I was in a position where I wanted to go and start a new business venture. I wanted to go and start my venture into coaching. And I saw that there was probably a step missing where I wanted to be able to publicly present, whether it's at conferences or in front of even just small groups. How would I be able to go and do that confidently? And I found I struggled a lot. I had past instances where I was presenting in front of large groups and I was stuck there looking very insecure, timid, a lot of filler words, right? So if I look at it right now, I'm probably more like this. I'm reading off a sheet of paper. My eyes are down. I'm not looking at the audience, and I'm saying, "Oh, yeah." So I would love to go and present, and that haunted me. That experience made me feel inadequate. I was just not confident, and if I needed to go and get to where I wanted to be, I needed to improve my public speaking. And that's where I sought out your help, Maria, to help elevate my speaking ability so I can be more confident in front of larger groups, whether it's inside of meetings or inside large conferences with hundreds of people. And we went through so many different exercises. And if anything, there's probably three great things that I took away. One was being able to go and have that confidence, right, in myself. Really, it's all in there inside of the mindset. Two is being able to formulate my thoughts very quickly, right? How am I able to go and think quickly with different questions being asked and I'm not necessarily prepared, right? And three is just being able to go and slow down the pace of how I'm talking, not being so worried about, I need to get all this information out there. And really, it's all about communication. And even for me as a project manager, as a coach for other project managers, being able to help them be able to lead successfully, communication is such a key part of it, right? So those three things I definitely accomplished by going through your program. And also then now expanding after the program was I presented at multiple conferences with hundreds of people all across the US and Canada, and also being comfortable in front of the camera space where, you know, even this conversation right now is not scripted at all. So if you guys are looking for a script, there's no script. This is us riffing off of each other, but still being able to be comfortable with that pace and the banter, right? And so anybody can be comfortable inside of any kind of public speaking space. And for me, as an introvert, as someone that's very analytical and was scared to be up there, now I almost enjoy being on camera, being in front of audiences, being able to go and share. So there's just that amazing opportunity in front of not only myself, but for all of you, that if you are feeling like you're trapped, you're an introvert, oh, I can't do this, all it means is that the challenges in front of you are maybe slightly different than an extrovert. And that's okay, right? That challenge is okay. But that doesn't mean you can't conquer them. And if anything, I'm proof that, you know, either Maria, myself, you can all be confident in how you speak in large groups or in front of even larger presences online.
Awesome. Can I just say, Ben, that was such a good answer. It was so well structured. I didn't hear any filler words. And there were a couple of things that really stood out to me that I want to talk about. But again, you guys, like, this is not scripted. I didn't even give Ben any questions. I just said, Ben, we're going to get on here and we're just going to talk. So first of all, amazing answer, Ben. And that's the power of public speaking. And I want to talk about a couple of things that you said that I think are so important. But before we did that, I do want to just check in with the audience. And if you're just joining me, please let me know where you are from and let me know if you're an introvert or an extrovert. It's always good to see where you're checking in from, what part of the world we're reaching. Also, if you're an introvert or extrovert, because if you don't know, a lot of the content that I create, and I think now Ben is creating too, is more for introverts. But we will get into more of your content, Ben. But do say hello. Again, in the chat box, we have it open. And if you have any questions, drop them in there. We will definitely get to those as soon as we can. So say hello, where you're from, and if you're an introvert or extrovert. Okay, Ben. There was something you said that really resonated with me, because when it comes to public speaking, what are some of the things that people think about? They think of fear, they think of discomfort, they think of stress. And I love what you said. Public speaking can be fun. It can be comfortable once you know what you're doing. And once you get to that stage where it's like, oh, okay, another event. All right, let's do this. So it can be exciting, especially if you come from a place of bringing value and there are things that you want to get done. You have to get up in front of an audience. So I love that you said that, because for me, like, I was on the same boat. I hated public speaking. I was so scared. And now the fact that I can get on here, and like last time I did a presentation here, I had almost 250 people watching, and it was like, I'm not gonna lie, I freaked out a little bit, but it was still like, okay, this is great. I almost was feeding off of their energy. So it's amazing the things that can happen once you do overcome that fear. So I really liked what you said about that, just that comfort and the excitement that you can have when it comes to public speaking.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about kind of what you've done since you felt like, you know, you got better at public speaking, because I've noticed a couple of things. I've noticed you're posting more on LinkedIn, so you're creating content. I also noticed that you started like a podcast. So tell us about the podcast and tell us about the content and who are the type of people that should follow you based on the content that you're creating.
Excellent question, Maria. For me, when I started my podcast, it was a little bit out of boredom during the pandemic that I wasn't sure what else to be able to go and do. I wanted to fill my time with something. And I've always wanted to go and just have very casual conversations about project management, leadership topics, mindset, all those type of things. And a lot of the podcasts I saw out there were very, I'll say academic, right? They're talking at very academic theoretical levels, and I just wanted to be able to have very casual conversations with people who are in that space on an everyday perspective. And one of my interviews was actually with my youngest son, just talking about, how has your transition or change through school has been, right? And getting his input back. And, it's out there in the internet now because it's already recorded. But yeah, apparently I'm a very bad homeschool teacher. And I would wholeheartedly agree with him. Right.
Mhm.
But it's just being able to go and have a lot of those conversations. And even through that, I was spending a lot of time going through different takes. I record it, re-record, and that's where, from a public speaking perspective, I got into the mode where I could just speak once, one take, that's it, and be able to record it, even with other guests and interviews, being able to have that conversation back and forth, right? It became a lot more comfortable. And this has actually progressed where I've been doing a lot of speaking at different conferences across the country, both in the US and Canada, talking about project management topics as well as leadership and how do those elements combine together. And that's where it's been really valuable for me to understand how does stage presence look like, being able to go and share these ideas, meeting so many different wonderful people, right? That's where for me it's really been a game changer. And I mean, I've done probably over 7 conferences at least. There's been a ton of different online meetings that I've been able to go and do with other people. And even from an impromptu perspective and not being prepared, I've participated in panelist discussions where I don't exactly know what the questions are, but they're somewhat in my field, and someone would ask the questions, and me, along with a guest panel, would have to go and answer them. And I didn't feel uncomfortable at all. I was like, all right, let's go ahead and talk about this. And we can also share stories.
Absolutely. I love what you said about impromptu speaking because I'm the type of person, like, I don't like putting in so much work. If I have an engagement or a speaking event, because it stresses me out. I start to get nervous and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much work. And just that anxiety takes the fun out of it. So that's why it's so good to be able to speak on the spot and know how to answer a question, what to say, how to say it. Because once you're already trained and you know what to do, it just makes it easier. And like I said, it makes it more fun. And also, if you get thrown a question your way that you haven't really thought about, guess what? If you know what you're doing, you'll be able to come up with the right answer and speak so confidently. So that's why impromptu speaking has been a huge, huge part of my program. Anytime I work with my clients, it's always been one of those things that I really focus on. So tell me more about maybe something that you learned about impromptu speaking that you're now using or applying to your speaking engagements.
Well, I think if I look back at how impromptu speaking has been really enhancing how I speak, and also I think really at the core of it, how I think, because our mouth can just ramble if we want to. If we're not thinking fast enough, that's when we get into the filler words, or we start maybe saying things that we don't necessarily intend to, right? So, from a speaking perspective, when it's a little bit more scripted and translating that into a more structured presentation, it allows me to go and actually interact with the audience a little bit more. That if I want to go and throw a little element of humor in there or ask questions to the audience and break up my presentation a little bit, I'm not so tied down to say, oh, I have to follow these slides. If I don't follow the slides, I'm going to be lost and I don't know what's going on. Or sometimes even when I'm looking at the slides, I might get just lost a little bit and I lose my place. I don't need to panic. I don't all of a sudden need to stop everything and go, okay, sorry, let me rewind this slide or two back and get my bearings and whatnot, right?
Mhm.
Impromptu speaking allows us the opportunity to be able to think a little bit faster, be able to process it, and be able to react that much faster without necessarily feeling like you're going to embarrass yourself.
Absolutely. What did you think about the impromptu sessions, the weekly impromptu sessions that we did?
I thought they were really fun and interesting because it gives you an idea of how people think. in those, I'll say, hot seat moments, right? I know one of the games that we played is finding related words to a single word, right?
Mhm.
Whether it be holidays or whatever. Some people would talk about, all the holidays they've been to, maybe what they eat at holidays, and sometimes they'll go into all these other kind of weird areas that you can get an interesting idea of. If you need to scramble, where could their minds go? Or it also gives you an idea of, if something comes up in that respect, can I branch off into something else very, very quickly? Right. So the timed exercises, the speed exercises with thought, I thought those were the most interesting, because you can see how the group reacts, and people will be like, "Oh man, I already said that word. I can't go back to it." Right. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
Since we've worked together, Ben, my impromptu sessions have evolved. There are so many new things that I've added, so many different things that I'm doing. But I love that you reminded me of that one because I haven't done that one in a while. So I feel like I should bring that back. But I think the exercise you're talking about, it's called Wordlicious. And it was actually one of my clients that named it. And he's like, hey, that's the perfect name for a Wordlicious. So for people that are watching, basically during these impromptu sessions, I would give you a word, let's say public speaking. And then you had a certain amount of time to tell me what words you think are related to public speaking. And then we move on to the next person and then the next person, but no one can repeat the same word. And then we start eliminating people. If you run out of time, don't say enough words, or you repeat words, we start that elimination process. So I love adding in games. I think things like that, like learning doesn't always have to be difficult. It doesn't always have to be boring. So for me, adding in these games kind of made it more fun. And it was honestly so much fun for me to watch as well, how people think. And like you said, seeing people's reactions and things like that. But yeah, thanks for reminding me about Wordlicious. I definitely have to do it. I haven't done that one in a while.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought those are good, because it really helps your mind move as quick as possible. Because even as you're coming up with words, I know with every round, there's a time limit, and that time limit would continue to go and reduce as you go through those rounds, and you have to think faster in more creative ways.
Absolutely. And by the way, if you're watching right now and you are interested in impromptu sessions, learning how to speak on the spot, send me a message and I'll send you more information on how you can sign up for the new impromptu sessions that I've created. Okay, so Ben, tell me more about. Okay, so tell me more about your content. What kind of content do you create? I know you touched base on it a little bit, but I want people to know, like, hey, they should follow you because why? Why, Ben? And who should follow you? I know you said project managers, but what makes your content different? And what is something unique that you bring to the table?
Sure, absolutely. In terms of the content that I bring to the table, I span across, I'd say, project management, leadership, and mindset concepts.
Mhm.
But what I really try and do is boil it down to the things that you can go and apply immediately. And I think if anyone here already follows me, they probably know this. I love doing the carousels. Those
Mhm.
carousels that you can kind of span through. It's maybe I try and keep it around 5 pages at most, but also looking at it from a design perspective, because with comic books and design, I just love making it very aesthetically pleasing, and so it's very easy to consume.
Sorry, I had to
Yeah.
butt in and say I love your carousels. They're so well planned out. They're so like graphically they look like they're completely professionally done. I don't know if you've hired someone or you do them yourself. Do you do them yourself?
I actually do them all by myself. So they're
Great.
all done in Canva. And it's
Mhm.
another one of those things that I teach through my project leadership coaching is, if you want to be able to do presentations or even do graphics a little bit better and you don't really know how do you communicate these ideas better, right? Along with just how your public speaking helps people communicate better on stage or inside of meetings, right? Visual communication through your documents is also something I provide.
Awesome. Ben, I would actually love to have you in the new impromptu sessions that I've created and have you teach my clients how to do that because I think you have such a unique way and it's such a unique style. So if you'd be interested, I'd love to have you and
Yeah,
my
I'm
clients.
more than happy to have that conversation. Yeah, because
Absolutely.
really, that's what I found inside of my career, when a lot of technical project managers, a lot of the people, when they're putting together these PowerPoint slides, they're just bullets, bullets, data, bullets, data, bullets, data. And even if you are a great presenter, and speaking to the slides, right? Maybe you're not reading it line for line, but you're trying to go and speak to them. You can still distract the audience because your presentation is so messy, or maybe it just doesn't hit, you don't get the right vibe, right? Is what I'm trying to go and say from the audience. And they start getting distracted by your slides instead of paying attention to you,
Of course.
right?
I agree.
So yeah, so for me, it's a lot of putting together those carousels to go and get across a lot of great project management, leadership, and mindset ideas.
Mhm.
And really, this is could be for anyone, but a lot of the people that I'm focused on is the project managers. How are you going to improve what you're going to do? And as well for PMO leaders, if you are a PMO director or someone that's maybe a program manager managing a whole group of project managers, how do you want to go and help your project manager succeed, right? So that's where for me, I love putting that contact together, putting
Mhm.
it out there, and really seeing what other ideas are coming to light from people so that we can go and continue to improve. Because a lot of these things, I'll honestly admit, they're not groundbreaking, but where I love to make it is make it digestible.
Okay, I love that. And that's the whole point. If your audience is not digesting your information, then what is the point? You've wasted your time, your energy, people are wasting their time. So I love that you said that word, being able to digest the information that you put out there. So that's really cool, Ben. But let's just check in with everyone that's listening in right now. Again, if you are a project manager, let me know. I want to see how many project managers we have here, or if you know a project manager, tag them here so that they can watch this and hopefully they can learn a thing or two from Ben about project management and public speaking. So again, we have the chat open. You guys do say hello in the chat. And if you're a project manager, say project manager. If you know a project manager, tag them below. So another question for you, Ben. How do you feel like getting better at public speaking has helped you as a project manager?
Well, let's start maybe from the ground level of how public speaking has helped my project management career, right? When you're going into these meetings and you have to speak with executives, you have to speak with other stakeholders, when you have a whole group of them, some of them may not necessarily be on your side. Being able to communicate concisely and accurately, and most importantly, confidently, are going to be key in any of those discussions. So being able to facilitate a meeting, being able to go and express your ideas, because it's great that you have ideas, but if you can't express them, then you're leaving it up to your sponsor, you're leaving it up to the executives to maybe make interpretations or assumptions of what you're trying to convey, right? So
Right.
by being able to enhance your public speaking, you're better able to express those ideas and start to push out the assumptions and really make sure there's alignment and clarity in how you're communicating, right? So from a meeting perspective, whether you're at team meetings or larger meetings inside of your project, those are key. And when we go and elevate up to other things that I'm doing, right, being able to be involved in conferences, being able to go and talk with the audience, being invited to be a panelist on different topics, right? Those are all extras that all of a sudden those opportunities wouldn't be available to me if I didn't have public speaking skills.
Absolutely. I think people really underestimate the power of public speaking, and I think people don't realize how much it's evolved. It's no longer like 20 years ago where you'd have to buy a ticket to a conference and you'd go and watch a speaker and there would be one speaker and thousands of people. Now, I think online has changed everything. This is a form of public speaking because anytime there's an audience, I think for me, anytime you're speaking, you're auditioning for leadership, you're auditioning for success. So anytime someone is listening to me, that is public speaking, whether it's one person or two people, it's a form of public speaking, and especially online. And the truth is, we are now living in a world where pretty much everything you do is online, from content creation to meetings to presentations to interviews. So it's a whole new ball game. It has evolved, but that's why I incorporate such a big part of my program in how to have camera presence, because public speaking now, you have to be able to have camera presence, whereas before it wasn't that big of a deal. It was just you'd go live, you'd speak to people, and you'd walk away. Whereas now you have to build a relationship with the camera. And I think people don't understand that. Because when I first started, even though I was great at public speaking and I came online, I was struggling. Anytime the camera would hit play or record, I was like, what's going on? So I had to really learn how to present on camera. It's two very different things. But yeah, public speaking has evolved and there's just no running away from it. That's the thing. In one way or another, you're going to end up doing it. So you might as well learn how to do it and enjoy doing it. And I love that, again, going back to that thing that you said, be comfortable, enjoy it. It can be fun, right?
Absolutely. And I think even from a meeting perspective, if you are having that, I'll say online presence that you want to be able to have, Zoom, Teams, right? Those are your tools now to be able to communicate. And if your executive is sitting up there, if they are seeing how you're presenting in front of your team, if they're seeing how you're communicating to the organization, right? They get a better idea of what your brand is and also maybe what your potential is. So there's definitely an opportunity where you could be seen in line for a promotion, perhaps, because you're able to go and express your ideas, you're able to go and express your motivations, your vision so much more accurately than someone else, right? So it really is part of that game-changing skill that you can go and learn.
Of course. I agree. I agree. So let's take the conversation a different direction now. So
Mhm.
I remember you had referred your sister to me and she came and she worked with me as well. And then a few months later, I got a message from her saying, Maria, I got promoted. She gave me a great review on LinkedIn as well, which was great. But how was your sister? And I know she's not here, but what was something that she told you? What was it like working with me? Because
Well,
pretty good
yeah.
results right away. And she was really good, by the way. I loved working with her. But yeah, anything you remember that she said?
One thing I think was I'm totally better than her. No. But I for her, it still is a little bit of practice, but she's able to go and speak at other conferences that she's been invited to. She's very confident in talking with other leaders inside of her industry. And really, now she's not afraid to go and take on those other opportunities, right?
Mhm.
Once she got promoted and she has that visibility, it definitely has added a lot of confidence in her, and I'm able to go and see that as the big brother. But again, yeah, I'm so much better than her. She'll probably watch this and
Yeah.
send me a text message later.
What she said about me.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
you know what's interesting? I've had so many couples, like husband and wife, that have done my program together. And you guys were like the first. I even had a mother and daughter that did my program. So it's so, like, honestly, it's so flattering to me when somebody refers their spouse, their sister, their, friend or someone. So that's always so flattering to me. And that makes me feel like, okay, I'm doing something right. That means I need to keep going. I think for me, that's what keeps me going. But anytime I get a referral, anytime I see a family member or someone come in, it's just honestly such a good feeling. So thanks again, by the way, for referring her. And it was really, really good working with her.
Yeah, no, I mean, she found working with you, that experience of going through, I'll say, the public speaking transformation to
Mhm.
be something where it might start from small steps, but it can build into such larger leaps.
Absolutely. One thing that this reminds me of, Ben. So when I started on LinkedIn, I think being good at public speaking helped me so much in building my following so quickly. I was able to do it in 6 months. And of course, there was a lot of work that went into it, like content creation, and I hired some help to help me create my profile and all of that. But I think the reason why I noticed such a big change and such a big growth in such a short amount of time is because I was one of the very few people that would go live. I still don't see a lot of people go live.
Mhm.
And when people see you, they see you on video. I was creating videos, like I think 90% of my content was videos, including lives. I think that's how you really connect with your audience. That's how people get to really know you. So being good at public speaking helped me in something like this too. I never thought that something like LinkedIn would require being good at public speaking. So it just goes to show how so many things come out of you being good at that one skill. And it's insane to me. Like, it's insane. Sometimes people come back and tell me, oh, I was able to do this now because I'm better at public speaking. Or, Maria, I took your word for it and I did this now. And I was like, oh, that's insane. the things I have seen, I'm just like, oh my God, it's like mind blowing to me. Like, even I didn't realize the impact until I started working with people and people started to tell me their results. And you were one of them. When I started seeing you post more content and I saw that you were attending all these events and everything, I was like, this is great. Like, it made me so happy. But that's just kind of just the power of public speaking. It's insane.
Yeah, there's so many different facets that it can go into. And I'd say part of being on LinkedIn, and if you are trying to build a customer base, either for yourself, for your company, for people to understand who you are, get that vibe from you, right? So many people, it may not necessarily be about the content itself, right? There's tons of different coaches for public speaking.
Yeah.
There's a few coaches out there for project leadership. They want to feel comfortable with you. They want to know that they can have a conversation with you and how are you going to vibe? You might not necessarily have a great fit with one coach and you might have a better fit with another, but
Mhm.
being able to go and put yourself out there, being able to present, people will start to go and see better how they might fit with you.
For sure, for sure. What are kind of your services right now that you're offering, Ben? I would love for you to let our audience members know, and how can they contact you if they are interested in working with you?
Absolutely. So in terms of the services that I provide, I do one-on-one coaching right now. I'm setting up a group course, but for one-on-one coaching for project managers, feel free to contact me through LinkedIn. And I also offer two different services from a corporate perspective, mainly to PMOs where they want to be able to enhance their project managers from an objective place. Because sometimes working with a PMO, it may not necessarily be, I'll say, safe, right? If a project manager is struggling and they say, I don't know what I'm doing, the PMO might look at them and say, well, if you don't know what you're doing, I'm going to let go of you and I'm going to bring in someone that can, right? Instead, I want to be able to provide a source for people to improve, to be able to go and actually perform if maybe they are underperforming, or maybe just to help them ideate. How do they do things better, right? So, from a corporate perspective, I do offer a corporate workshop. It's a 2-day workshop coupled with 2 months of coaching on top of that to your cohort of project managers. And also, what I like to call is CAS, or coaching as a service, where people can go and have me be able to go and coach any of your project managers. If they run into a problem, they can go and reach out to me and work with you to be able to improve your project leadership and deliver better. So that's where I'm at right now. And hopefully, if you have any of those needs, if you want to be able to improve your project leadership, go and book an appointment with me on LinkedIn. There's a link in my profile.
Awesome. Again, if you are a project manager, Ben is your go-to guy. Do connect with him, follow him, send him a DM. And if you've learned anything from him today, let him know as well. It's always good to DM people. And I think that's the beauty of LinkedIn. You can actually build connections, authentic connections with people here. So do take advantage of that, you guys. Follow Ben. He has lots and lots of really good content if you're a project manager, especially. I'm enjoying your content as well. I'm not a project manager, so it's still like a learning. See, you learn something new from everybody. So what is next for you, Ben? What other things that you have planned? 2024 has just started. We just started Q2, but
Yeah.
what are some things that you have planned for this year, and how do you think that public speaking is going to kind of help you get there?
Well, there's some interesting things on the horizon. One is starting up a newsletter so that there's monthly tips as well as guides back to some of my older content that could be still helpful to you.
Mhm.
So that will be starting up hopefully this month. And if you are interested, go ahead and sign up. So that will be available. I am experimenting actually quite a bit with different things. The one piece I do have going on is I'll be joining a comedy workshop and possibly doing some stand up.
Oh, okay, that's
So
cool.
public speaking is definitely going to be involved into that area because it might be a little bit of a different persona than maybe I show up on here, right? Or when I show up on my podcast, whether it's live audio and whatnot. So that is going to be definitely a different venture. And I'm starting to go and create a little bit more of a product possibly for group coaching for those that want to be able to learn as they want to on demand, right? and also still have that value of coaching, because as much as this information is out there that you can go and consume, it's really the practice and integration of it that makes the difference. And that's why, even for your stuff, Maria, around the impromptu speaking, right? It's not that you have the knowledge around it, it's that you can be able to practice it and be
Exactly.
able to go and make it part of you, so it's not just an academic exercise in your head.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the reasons why I do those weekly impromptu sessions, because one of the reasons people are not good at public speaking is they've just never had the opportunity to present in front of other people, to practice. So this gives you kind of that safe environment to practice, to prepare, to get feedback, and then go into the real world and do it. So that's a big point you've made right there. But I have to talk about this comedy thing that you're talking about. First of all, I remember when we were working together, and you would be, always the one that was more funny and trying to make people laugh. And I love that about you. And I think people need to realize, like, hey, if there's something you're good at, especially if you can make people laugh, that's a huge plus. That's part of your personal speaking style. So identifying your own personal speaking style and bringing that to life and bringing that to your audience, it's so powerful in helping you connect and engage with your audience. So if you ever look at comedians, what do? One of the things that they're known for is their crowd work, right? So what is that crowd work? That's engagement. When you're doing a presentation, you need to be able to engage with your audience. I think people take things too seriously when it comes to presentations, that they forget about their audience and they're not poking fun at them, or, at least in the corporate world, pointing something out and talking back and forth. Hey, remember we were talking about that the other day and this is what happened. So that engagement bit is huge. And I think that's why people love comedians, because of that connection they build with their audience. So again, just two things: finding your own personal speaking style and connecting with your audience. It's huge. And I've been really, really focusing on that lately with my clients, because more than how you speak and what you say, if you can build that connection, you'll go so much further with your audience. So
Yeah, having that authentic touch just means so much more to the audience, to know that you're like a real person.
especially
Right?
in today's world, where there's
Yeah,
so much information online, so many people online, it's like, who do you trust? Who do you not trust? Seeing a face and getting to know them and communicating with them does build a lot more trust.
exactly. And even being a leader, being a speaker, whatever it is that you want to be, it's how do you realize that as yourself, right? Like, my speaking style is not the same as Maria's,
Mhm.
right? She has her own way to go and speak, and her information, her content, her coaching, all of those things help me understand how to go and build those skills, but I can still go and mold it into the way that best suits me in my situation, within my context, right? Within who my audience is. And so it's not necessarily saying I need to be like Maria or I need to be like Ben. It's how are you going to be the best speaker, or how are you going to be the best leader? This is all where you can really show your authenticity in how you speak and how you want to integrate that with yourself.
Especially for introverts, because I think the problem with introverts is we're pushed to speak like extroverts or sound like
Mhm.
extroverts. And it's like, I can't do that. Maybe I can do that for 5 minutes, but then I'm going to revert back to who I am, which is more introverted. So when I work with my clients now, I focus so much more on what are your strengths? What do you already have that we can amplify? So I think that's huge. As an introvert, I don't think you need to pretend to be somebody else. And if anything, you shouldn't be pretending to be someone else. Your audience is going to see right through that. And guess what? Then you're not building connection with your audience. So that's just one thing to remember, especially if you're an introvert.
Absolutely great tips, Maria.
Yeah. So any last words, Ben? Anything else you want to add on? Anything at all?
I'd say if you are interested in project leadership coaching, if you are maybe early and outside of your journey, you have your PMP certification, and you're maybe 1 or 2 years into the job, maybe even up to 5 years, and you're still finding yourself overwhelmed. You're still not sure how to be able to go and navigate these things, even though you have the head knowledge on it. Give me a shout. Go ahead and book an appointment, and I'm more than happy to have the discussion with you. And for any of my coaching clients, if they're one on one, I always have a free session with you, because it's very important to me that there's a great fit, that how we communicate, that your comfort level is there, so that we can have a great, safe environment to really then expand how you're going to go and tackle your problems. So if you're willing to go and reach out, go and be in that area of discomfort so that you can go and reach new levels of your leadership, then go ahead and book your appointment with me. More than happy to have that conversation.
Awesome. So again, you guys do follow Ben. I've personally seen his work. It's amazing. He has a lot of value that he brings. And that's how you know someone that brings value, you'll actually learn from. And I can tell, Ben, like you're very passionate about what you do because of the way that you show up on LinkedIn. So you guys highly recommend following Ben. Reach out to him if you have any questions and do book a call with him. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And thank you, Maria, for inviting me.
Of course. Very excited to have you here, Ben. This was great. And I just want to say again, Ben, I'm very proud of you. Like I have seen you the past few years and I'm just like, wow, like it makes me so happy seeing, clients that I've worked with actually putting themselves out there. And what I love about LinkedIn is I get to see it all kind of happen. Like, for example, I have a client that did a TED Talk. So she posted her TED Talk and then she posted photos and I was like, I love this. I love that I can stay in touch and see what things people are doing after they've gotten better at public speaking. This is why LinkedIn is my place. Like I've tried TikTok. Oh my gosh, don't even ask me about TikTok, but I've tried all these platforms. I think Instagram is okay, but this is the place. This is a place where you can really showcase your talents, to be honest, and connect with a wide range of audience members.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for coming on here, Ben, sharing your experience. I wish you all the very best in everything that you do. Stay in touch with me. And of course, I love interacting with your posts, and we'll definitely talk about getting you to come and teach my clients the visuals that you do, the graphics, because love them. Like they're spectacular. I really like them. Okay.
Yeah, let's go and do it. And awesome. Everyone else out there, I hope you do it as well.
Of course. And Ben is an example, you guys. You can go from being not so comfortable or afraid of public speaking to doing all of these things once you know what you're doing, and in such a short amount of time. Because I think, Ben, we worked together maybe 2 years ago or something, and the things that you've done in just 2 years, it's crazy. So just keep it up. Again, very proud of you. And I want to thank you one more time for coming on here and just talking about your experience, because I am sure lots of people are going to resonate with this. I'm sure there's a lot of people watching right now that have dreams, that have goals, but that public speaking thing is it's holding them back and they're afraid. So I'm sure you've inspired a lot of people today. So thank you so much, Ben.
Thank you.
And thank you for everyone that is watching. Again, do reach out to Ben if you have any questions, and do follow along as well. If you are an introvert, I post a lot of content on that. Okay. So see you guys next time. Bye.